Hey everyone, Gamer Mom over 50 here, and this is episode 2 of Crafting for the Artistically Challenged. Now today I'm going to give a very brief overview of some of the items that you will use during the build processes. Now you won't use all of these, but you will use some. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the items that I use. First up, if you're using any kind of spray paint, any kind of aerosol cans, you will need a respirator. I don't know if you can get these right now. I've had this one, I haven't even opened it. I've had it for at least 2 years. I haven't opened it. It's a disposable type, and this you use for using spray paints. And the classic N95 dust respirator, just any kind of dust mask will work. I just happen to have this one. I've had it for quite a while. It works great for any time you are sanding. Also, what we're all using right now, any kind of, at least a 3-ply filter is excellent, especially when sanding again. You need a nice pair of plastic safety glasses. Again, sanding, you do not want a piece of sand or metal in your eye. And believe me, I've had that, so it's not fun. Gloves, dollar store buy. You can get about 10 packs of these little vinyl gloves. They're great when you're dealing with any of the paints or rust applications. Blue latex gloves. I'm also a fan of these. They are cotton gloves. I used to use these when I was sound editing. Very comfortable, and especially if you don't want a lot of your finger oil on the item that you're working, and if you want to blend you know, some paints and colors, these things work great, but mainly to keep your hand oils off of things that you're currently working on. So different types of gloves. Next up, cutting board. Just find an old kitchen cutting board, label it accordingly. This is great for using your X-Acto knives and things. I go to the dollar store. You can get cheap X-Acto knives. I use these. I store them in my, wait. These are my daughter's old EpiPen. It keeps it from getting broken, or keeps me from not cutting myself. You can also use any chunk of foam you get in the mail, just also works. You can also use a sanding block or something, but these are great. You can just tape it down. It also works for certain paint brushes that have, you know, a narrow end, but very much a fan of that. So a good X-Acto knife, just for cutting. And if you can, get an X-Acto blade that has a flat edge. Let's see if it'll focus in on that. This is great when you want to do wide scrapings, scraping down, say, across a windshield or down the side of a model kit or something, having not just the pointed tips, but a flat edge. And these kits are rather inexpensive too. A good knife. I've had this one probably, oh, I don't know, 20, 25 years. Not just for the knife itself, but for these, I use all the time. These little scissors, I've had this, like I said, a very long time. And also just a straight edge here. This is also good for cutting. You can take the blade out, switch it around, and the same thing, having a really good cutting edge. These are probably about $5 at any of your hardware stores. Let me get this one closed up. It's been a while since I've used this one. But the scissors are what makes this. Or a pair of model kit nippers. There you go. Let's get this out of the way. Sandpapers and things. These are just the green Scotch Pads. I cut them up and use them for burnishing and stuff. It does have a green, almost like a sandpaper that comes off, so be wary of that. I usually cut them into pieces, use them, but beware of this kind of a leftover, kind of like a sawdust from using them. I use these. You can buy these detail brushes. You get steel, brass, nylon for if you want to distress clothing or distress a model. These things are great. When you're dealing with paints, any kind of, you know, if you need a little measuring cup, these little cheap wood sticks, or any of these kinds of things are great for stirring your little paint containers. If you don't have, you know, the shakeable kind, you have the short little, you know, Tamiya brand sandpaper. You can usually get a pack of usually a few different types of grits at the dollar store, or you can buy, I'm also a big fan of these sanding blocks. They're great because, you know, you can get a nice perfect flat edge or drag the piece you want right over the sanding block. As you can see, I've already used a few of these. So sanding blocks, sandpaper are also a good thing to have around. Let's see, tape. I'm a tape hoarder. I love blue quick release tape, and I also have to remind myself that, yeah, I'm an idiot and I'll do stuff like this. I'll sand something, say this, and you put your tape down in it, it's going to come all on this tape edge. So when you go to lay your tape down, that sand and grit is here on the edge. You can feel it, so you're not going to get a perfect line. It's going to be covered in all of this. So the cheapest way to do it, put it inside a Ziploc bag. It keeps this surface clear of all dust. You can also buy, and I do the same thing with my gaffer tape. You can see this stuff is really super sticky here, very oily, and it's also transferred into the bag, which means I'm happy because it doesn't have dust on the edges. You can also buy this. It's called frog tape. It's the same kind of stuff as the blue, but it comes in this handy container to keep it clean. As you can see, all of this is perfect. So for me, sometimes I will lay it down in the dust and regret it later, but if I have this or a Ziploc bag, then my tape is good. Glue. This is something you will use a lot of when you're going to detail any 1/6 scale figures. And the nice thing about the school glue or white glue is it dries clear. So you can lay a bead down, put some chalk or sawdust or sand on your character's clothing or something, let it dry, and you're just left with the product that you have. Also grab a little one of these, you know, glue sticks. They're great for like when we go to do the magazines. Either of these two work great for that. A really cheap Rotary Tool kit. The Rotary Tool in all these bits and pieces probably was under $20, and it was a Home Depot purchase. It has all kinds of sanding and polishing, and the one really nice thing about it, I have it taped up. You plug it in and you can disconnect right here. This is not a variable speed. It's basically on and off. That's it, and it's pretty quick. I only use it very sparingly if I want to quickly just burnish the edge of something, or if you want to cut something. And you have all the tips. Let me see if I open this up. Like on that 1/10 scale RC, I can use it. Oh, that was the little collet fell out. Using these attachments here, you can drill through things, and you have a variety of, these are all sanding discs, and there's your little wrench to put these little attachments on. So that all came in one kit. Okay, I use these. They're a dish drying mat. They're nicely, easily foldable. This one is new. My other one is, let's see if I can get it to stay down. The really nice thing about these is, let's say, let's grab a paintbrush here. If you're painting, you can easily just, if you have too much liquid, you can easily just dab it off onto the dish drying mat. It also prevents things, especially little parts, from floating away across a table. There's a few of the little lids. So any little nuts, bolts, screws, any little parts, it'll flatten out, but it keeps it from rolling away from you. So a dish mat. If you don't have a dish mat, just any old kind of kitchen cloth, especially when you're doing your painting, you can easily just dab off excess liquids. So there's your dish drying mat. These run about $3 or $4. And my other one is perfectly flat and it's got all the paint in the corners. I've had it for years. It works great. Let's get these out of the way. Paintbrushes, since I showed a few. I do not buy expensive brushes. Buying a more expensive brush does not make you a better artist, just like buying expensive pots and pans does not make you a better chef. So, you have these for just doing basic applications, and these are, I use as a disposable almost, if I'm using it for, say, glue, like the white glue. I like these because they have a nice wide flat. So if I want to just make like a smear for something, it's great. These are wonderful for detailing. And these are just some sponge brushes. And these are all pretty much Walmart, probably about $3 to $5, and these are dollar store items. Dollar store is your friend. Let's see. Let's get into... Okay. Most of the items that you'll use for your detailing, I've got some things, are these natural sponges. I buy these at Walmart. You can use them to sponge off paint to give an effect or to wipe off paint. They're wonderful. Get a couple packs of these so you have those. Some extra sandpaper in there. Chalks, also known as pastels. This was probably $1 or $2 at an estate sale. I will have this set forever. I use these for, let's see, orange. You can just apply like this onto a figure or on clothing, especially say if you want a sand effect. You can blend a few of these, and there's a difference. These are almost a chalk. Whereas if you pick something, and I have, let's see, there's some of my old ones that I used to use. Pastels, especially something that you remember as a kid, at least I do, are soft pastels. Some of these can be a little on the oily side. These ones are okay. Some are like an oil pastel that you can blend, you know, if you want to get, you know, a really nice design. Don't be afraid of getting your hands dirty. So soft pastels, they're not oil. This was Artist Loft, also a Walmart brand. So I have a nice, good variety of chalks. For metals or a metal look, it's called Rub and Buff. And what it is, it's a wax that you apply and then buff out. I'm going to definitely use this on the Roman centurion costume. This is a new product I discovered by Vallejo, and they are made in Spain. This set of 8 rust and streaking stains. These are liquids, and they are water acrylics. Let's just show you quickly. So shake them up, and these enable you to do all kinds of really nice, you know, just put a dab here, streaking effects, say, you know, something like that. I had a bullet hole, and then I wanted to do a little rust streak, so you can blend these colors together. They also have a wonderful little instructions here. This is where I learned to do some of the details with the rust, say there. Those out of the way. Tamiya puts out a nice weathering set, and they are almost like a makeup. So you have sand, light sand, and mud, and you can use those again with your hands and blend it into whatever figure, or like for dog meat, I wanted to put some mud, say, and dirt on his paws. This stuff works great. They also have an amazing snow. You might have seen it in the previous shot where I had the base covered in snow. Any of the Tamiya kits are amazing. And second to last, this is a rust antiquing set by Sophisticated Finishes. And this is how I get my rust effects. It's a two-part, and we'll go into details on how to do that when we get to that point in doing, say, car bodies, or any of the controllers. There. And I think I got this at Michael's Craft Store. Show it to you again. Sophisticated finishes, rust antiquing set. And lastly, I want to just show you briefly, I don't want to get into doing too many of the aerosol paints, but if you're using any of these chalks and things to get it to set, after you've put your layer of white glue and your chalk, you're going to need, make sure I've got these right. Okay, very important when you purchase, these are both exactly the same. Matte clear, not crystal clear. You can kind of see the difference. You don't want shiny on any clothing or on any of your car bodies or controllers or anything until you want to finish it. So this is a crystal clear is how you finish it and put the final coat on. Matte clear is used to keep your chalks and your sand and your dirt on clothing and on vehicles and things. And then when you're completely done, if you want, you can apply a total matte finish over the entire object or finish it with a crystal clear. Rust-Oleum, again, a great product. At least have a can of this nearby to just spritz the clothing, and then you apply your next layer, do the same thing. So hopefully this has been a little helpful. It's kind of about 90% of the items I use. I know there's a few new ones that I just discovered, some new kind of like these that are new rust finishes and things. So next up, we're going to show you what you're going to need for the very first project, how to do the magazine cover. The things you will need for your Tesla magazine or your, say, Grognak comic book. First off, you're going to need to search the internet, and we're going to print out so it's pretty much exactly sized to this. This is an extra copy. I had a smaller, it was kind of a different type of electronics magazine. So you search the internet. We're going to go through this step by step, but I just wanted to let you know these are the things you're going to need. Access to a printer so you can print out the cover that you want to apply to the magazine. You need to go onto eBay and you're going to purchase a selection or just one of these Popular Science or Popular Mechanics from the 1950s or 60s. Make sure it has a nice edge here. Not nice, but just thick enough that it's not like a thin magazine. Like this one here is one of the Conan comics. It's not going to have a nice edge here. So our edge that we print out will wrap around here. With this, we're actually going to sand this off a little bit to remove this Popular Science, because on the printout there isn't an edge that says Tesla. So with my edge here, I just removed it. That's all you need to do. So you're going to need one of these older magazines. Sometimes it's better to look for vintage Popular Science, Popular Mechanics lot, because you don't need it in mint condition. In fact, the worse off it is, the better it will look in your finished product. So a lot will give you one for mistakes and still a couple to hand out for friends as gifts and things. If you want to do a Grognak the Barbarian, all I did was look for Conan comics. And the same thing, I will go on my computer, I will look for a Grognak the Barbarian cover, and I will print it out, and I will size it to fit this, and we'll go through that process. So if you're interested in the first project, if you want to do a Tesla or lock picking or something like that, pick up a couple of these magazines on eBay, and the very next episode I'm going to show you how to turn this into one of these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the first project episode.